What's up, Fantasy Freaks? It's Rob, the NRL Fantasy Freak, here for my first proper Teamless Tuesday, and I'm going to try to do this in one take, and let's see how we go. We'll go through both the Vegas games. I'll highlight the key players that have the most value. You'll be able to see on the screen for each team what I project their averages at, and it's color-coded, so greens is what you should be looking for. They're the key players, but I'll highlight them as we go. And yeah, let's get into it. So welcome to my first Teamless Tuesday. First up, we've got the Knights versus the Cowboys. I'll go through the teams and then I'll discuss the players with the most value. So first up, the Knights, we've got Ponga, Young, Gagai, Best, Marzu, Sharp and Brown in the backs. We've got Saifidi, Crossland, Mooney, Lucas, McEwen and Frizzell in the forwards. And on the bench we've got Smith, Croker, Kant and Sawley. So looking at the team, key points to note: Dylan Brown gets the halfback spot as I predicted. Sandon Smith on the interchange. That makes Dylan Brown have massive upside, 25 points of value. Get him in your team. Expected to average 64. Next, Trey Mooney, starting prop, 18 points of value. Expected to average 54. And Jermaine McEwen gets the starting edge spot, 10 points of value. He would be a good pick for your team as well. The only downside was Kant taking some minutes in the trial, so I'm not too solid on his job security. And there's a couple of cheaper enablers, one in the Cowboys team who we'll discuss shortly. Going through the other greens on this from the Knights, Fletcher Sharp expected to average 55 as a gun, and Dylan Lucas 56 average on the edge as another gun. Looking at their first 7 fixtures for the Knights, they got Cowboys, Seagulls, Warriors, so 3 green fixtures. Seagulls are very rated as one of the very easy teams. Cowboys and Warriors a little bit harder. Bulldogs and Raiders harder again. And then they've got the Tigers, easy team. And finally the Roosters, which is one of the very hardest teams, dark red. So a mixture there, but 3 greens to start the season should get the Knights off to a good start. And going through the Cowboys, we've got Drinkwater, Burns, Purdue, Chester, Taulangi, Clifford and Dearden in the backs. We've got Hess, Mahoney, Tamalolo, Luki, McIntyre and Cotter in the forwards. And on the bench, we've got Luke, McKaylee, Edwards, and O'Donnell. Cowboys, what do we see? Tom Chester gets that starting centre spot with Labert being suspended. 22 points of value. He might only have 2 games, but I'm willing to take the gamble so that I can invest money elsewhere. And that centre spot is so hard, so I'll gladly take that to fill that spot to get off to a flyer for the first 2 rounds and then reevaluate after that. Tom Dearden expected to average 54 in the halfback spot. He's got a little bit of value. Not personally one for me, but he's a gun. And Heilum Luki gets the starting edge spot as we predicted, and 22 points of value. Get him in your team. He's a cheap enabler with expected average of 46. Looking at that Cowboys start to the season, Knights, Tigers, Titans, 3 dark green fixtures is awesome, and we should get some upside from those players. And they've also got Dragons and Seagulls, so they've got like the easiest run by far. Storm and Broncos, 2 really hard fixtures in there, but I definitely wouldn't complain with that start to the season, and the Cowboys could come out flying. A couple of other players to mention. I didn't mention Mahoney. 6 points of value. Looked awesome in the trials, and he is definitely someone you should consider for your team. Looking at the next game, Bulldogs Dragons. So Bulldogs, we've got Tracy, Carraz, Sherry, Crichton and Montoya, Burton and Galvin in the backs, King, Hayward, Hughes, Kikau, Preston and Salmon in the forwards. And on the bench we've got Mann, Tupanua, Hayes and Curran. And main players to target from the Bulldogs, Carraz with the dual position, expected average 52. No real value, but he gets you a gun in that difficult centre position. Bulldogs have the bye in round 2, so I don't like that play. Burton there's got a bit of value. Galvin's got a bit of value. Preston is a gun on the edge at 60 points average expected. And Salmon, 5 points of value at lock. Kurt Mann, 7 points of value, but I wouldn't be touching anyone on the interchange. And moving on to the Dragons. Just going through those fixtures for the Bulldogs. So they got Dragons dark green, by Raiders red, Knights dark green, Rabbitohs light green, Panthers dark red, and Eels light green. So they got 4 greens in the first 7. But I think we can, there's not too much to invest in there at the Bulldogs. Looking at the Dragons, we got Gutherson, Tupelotu, Suli, Holmes, Flanagan and Atkinson in the backs. Gula, Cook, Couchman, Toby, Leitaua, Setu and Stewart in the forwards. And on the bench we've got Sally, Kerr, Laurie and Ryan Couchman. So the key players from this team, Setu Tu, he got the wing fullback spot, the wing spot with 20 points of value. Get him in your team. Danial Atkinson, 6 points of value. Had a look at his kick meters and he is likely to do all the kicking next to Flanagan. That's the way it played when what's his name was in there, Lucky Ilias did all the kicking, so that gives Atkinson some value straight away. The fixtures first up with Bulldogs and Storm aren't great upside fixtures, but if he's doing all the kicking, that gives him good base. And then there's a whole run of greens with Eels, Titans, Cowboys, Seagulls and Rabbitohs for him to start making some cash. So I think he's a great player to start with in your round 1 team. Damien Cook is another great option. Hooker spot sucks and he's got no hooker on the bench. Expected to average 53, so he's got a bit of value in a tough position with no one taking any minutes. So I think he is definitely someone I'm considering for my team. And Leilaua's got 6 points of value. If you want to go there. Hamish Stewart getting the lock spot. As I mentioned in a previous video, he looked the goods and he needed to be in that lock spot. He deserves some more minutes, and we haven't seen Saleh play, so we can't say how good he is compared to Stewart, but he'd have to be really good. So I think it's safe to say Stewart should get 50 minutes, which will be, I've got him projected to get 50 average. And lastly, at 17, Ryan Couchman with 10 points of value, but I wouldn't be touching him at 17th man. It's just not worth it for someone in that position, in my opinion. So yeah, that's it for Team List Tuesday. I will get back to you with my round review following the team list, and I'll give you an update on how my team's looking in the next one.